This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
So listen up, I bet that you have heard this too many times, but I need your love. Oh, it gets lonely in this gangster's paradise. Oh, hurry up and quit pretending like you came for nothing tonight. I said I need your love. You got me burning up, I think I'll call you Mrs. Fahrenheit.
Program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know it, and so do I. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Monday, August the 10th of 2026. And we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, yes, getting to do all the fun stuff that we get to do around here. No doubt about that. So there you go. Anyways, how have you been? How was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting? Did you end up doing anything that you could brag about? Because that's going to be the other side of the equation of everything that is going on, of course, because that's kind of how we do our gig. So with that being said, we're going to be doing all kinds of interesting stuff today, no doubt about that, as we are talking about the world of safety in the news and safety. Yeah, that's kind of what we do around here. So we'll bring in some professionals that will tell you about the stories that are going on inside of the world. I'll come in and give you some level of the main story when we get around the middle of the show, give or take, and we'll go from there. If you want to interact with the whole mess that we have going on, simple process to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you get there, boom, audio, video, and text messaging are the opciones of things to do, and then we just kind of roll. No, seriously, then we just kind of roll. That's the whole kit and caboodle. So with that being said, let me kind of explain some of the things around here. We kind of are a chaotic format because we just go all over the place. Now, listen, here's a great thing about this. With the way that this show works, if you don't like it, it's perfectly fine. You can hang out here on safetyfm.com and take a look at the different shows that we have available inside of the network itself, because there are so many different style shows in regards of what's going on. So that's kind of the cool part about it. We are a radio show that is also a video show that also does a podcast. So there you go. Different formats on how you can do that and take a listen to it. So there you go. That's kind of the way that it goes. RadioBig.fm is where we hang out, where we're doing our simulcast. I almost said our simulation, but I guess I could say that too, and that'll be perfectly fine. Where we do our simulcast. So depending on where you're at. So this is our uno of a 3-hour show. Only the first hour is simulcast on Radio Big and on safetyfm.com. Boom. And then hours 2 and 3 are RadioBig.fm exclusive. And then we just kind of go from there. Yep, that's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. If I had to give it to you in one package form, that's kind of how we do our thing. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and bring in our friends from Feature Story News and let them tell you what the hell is going on inside of the world.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. Iran says Tehran will not return to direct negotiations with the United States until Washington honors the interim deal with the two sides signed in June, and that there are no direct talks with Washington, just with Oman about the Strait of Hormuz reopening. President Trump told the Axios publication the US is only semi-negotiating with Iran, characterizing their exchanges as a game of chess. Nick Harper has more.
Iran and Oman have been working on this joint agreement to narrowly reopen partly the Strait of Hormuz and essentially decide which ships will be allowed to transit through it. But they have now announced a list of conditions that the United States must agree to before Iran says it's happy to fully reopen the strait. Those conditions include the US ending its naval blockade on Iranian ports, ending all sanctions on Iran, and releasing frozen assets. Up until now, the US has said those things would only happen once the nuclear part of the deal is finally agreed. And we've heard from the Iranian president hitting out at the US, saying that Iran is currently strong and unified, saying that it's been victorious and powerful in this war. In Iran's Supreme National Security Council and the Iranian Foreign Ministry also making fun of the US president, accusing him of theatre diplomacy, attacking him in particular, using his tactic of threatening big attacks on the country and then rolling those back, saying diplomacy is working, even though talks don't seem to be progressing.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has explicitly rejected a 15-point Gaza peace roadmap drawn up by US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace, saying Israel's military will not withdraw until Hamas is fully disarmed. Jagrati Dave has more.
This is a very rare public dissent by Benjamin Netanyahu from his ally in the White House. Mr. Netanyahu has called Donald Trump the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House. But that relationship has had its ups and downs since the Iran war, and Donald Trump has publicly rebuked Israel on occasion as well. So, there is some sense that that very firm friendship has been on rocky territory. The relationship that both leaders have had has been rocky, but they have weathered those storms in the past. It all depends on what Donald Trump decides to do next, I guess, as to whether they can weather this latest storm.
To Asia now, where Typhoon Dolphin has hit China's east coast, with authorities evacuating more than 1 million people. The weather disturbance has hit daily life, including leading to the cancellation of more than 1,000 flights in Shanghai. This typhoon was earlier characterized as having the highest threat alert, but has now been downgraded to a tropical storm. But authorities are warning that heavy rainfall and severe flooding will likely continue, and the risk of landslides remains. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at the bombshell claim by Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent that the Strait of Hormuz is not going to return to anything like normal anytime soon. It came in a local TV interview, the Treasury Secretary suddenly becoming the first top Trump official publicly to abandon the pretense that the free flow of traffic through the strait, brought to a standstill by President Trump's war on Iran, will eventually return. The interviewer, Mark Curtis of News 12 in Arizona.
There's some who've speculated the strait will never go back to being the way it was before. What would you say?
I think they're saying that in a doomsday sort of way. I would say it in another way. The strait is never going back to the way it was, because the Iranians tried to use it as a choke point. What we are going to see over the next 2 years, the strait's going to become irrelevant. It is going to become just another body of water, and I would say that more than 50 or 70% of the energy that moves through the strait now is going to go through underground pipelines.
For weeks leading up to that interview, Mr. Bessent had insisted that negotiations with Iran were going to bear fruit, the strait would reopen and the price of oil would sink like a stone. Now he's warning the markets and the rest of the world that for at least the next 24 months, we'll all be paying through the nose for energy. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejects Donald Trump's 15-point Gaza peace roadmap, says Israel's military will not withdraw until Hamas is fully disarmed. Meanwhile, Tehran says there are no direct talks with Washington about reopening the Strait of Hormuz, even as President Trump says the US is only semi-negotiating with Iran. Typhoon Dolphin has hit China's east coast with over 1 million people evacuated. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punya reporting.
You are listening to a renowned safety expert, Dr. Jay Allen, on Safety FM. Changing safety cultures, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Join the fun on social media and find us on Facebook at Safety FM.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial. Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, this is something, all right. So there you go. Let's continue talking about some of the things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that is how we do our thing around here. So let's start going around and start talking about right away about some of the stuff that is happening inside of the multiverse, because if we didn't do it in that format, I'm not exactly sure what exactly we would be doing, because that's just kind of how it goes. We talk a little bit about everything that is going on. By the way, I'm being told that I didn't play this, so maybe I should play this. Let's do this real quick.
The radio show that's about to begin may trigger the following.
Hives, itching, swelling of your mouth, lips, tongue, or face, trouble swallowing or breathing, throat tightness, dizziness, lightheadedness, stomach area pain.
Yeah, that sounds normally how the show makes most people feel in regards to what the hell's going on. That is for sure. So with that being said, a lot of stuff going on, as I did state earlier before I went into this portion. So there you go. And let's get into it, because I think that sometimes we need to talk about some of the weirdest aspects of what the hell's going on before we get into our main story. A lot of people always kind of wonder, why are you talking about so many other things that are just not related to safety? And the reason behind it is because I think that this is kind of a good starting point in regards to what we have going on. I think always that if you just jump directly into the safety topics, you're going to throw some people off. It's just kind of how it goes in the way that I look at it, but I could be absolutely wrong in regards of the things that are happening. So let's do this real quick. Let's go into this one. I don't know if you've heard, but let's just share some news. Hunter Biden says that his father, Joe Biden, is facing the difficulty battle as of an aggressive prostate cancer has spread beyond his bones and into parts of his body. In an interview with BBC, Hunter described the disease as very painful and very debilitating. I can't even speak. Saying that it has been heartbreaking to watch his father's health decline despite the cancer progression. Hunter said that the former president continues to stay active, work on projects, and remain engaged in public life. He added that Joe Biden rarely complains about his condition, even though, in Hunter's words, it's not good, and called him the center of their family as he continues treatment. Take a listen to this.
The cancer has spread, is metastasized into his bones and further. It's very painful. It's very debilitating in many respects, but he's still out there. He's still doing his thing.
So there you go. That's what Hunter had to say about what was going on with his father. That's for sure. So let's go with that. Okay, so let's go into some other things that are going on. The television industry could be in for a major shakeup after the FCC voted to eliminate the 22-year-old rule that limited how many local TV stations a single company could own. The rule had capped the station's ownership to 39% of the U.S. TV households to prevent media monopolies and promote diversity of viewpoints. Instead, it's using fixed ownership limit. The FCC will now review future mergers and acquisitions individually, deciding whether each deal serves the public interest. Large broadcast companies, including Nexstar Media Group and Sinclair Broadcast Group, have long argued that the restriction was outdated because they now compete not only with other TV stations, but also streaming platforms. The tech company supported, saying that change will allow the broadcasters to grow and to better compete with critics. Worry that it would lead to a greater consolidation and fewer independent local voices. What do you think here? I think it's going to get interesting as we move forward. Because I don't know, it's one of those things that, yeah, some of these things get extremely outdated when you start taking a look at what's going on. But man, does it get weird? Does it get weird in regards on how some of these rule sets work? I mean, I will tell you, there was a law here in Florida for the longest period of time that if you went into an area that is called St. Pete or St. Petersburg, you couldn't wear a mask. And I'm talking about like a Halloween style mask. So if you were in a public setting, you would get in trouble for that. And it was an outdated law for a long period of time where people got randomly arrested for just their most random shit. But just something to think about. I know, kind of a tangent there, but that's just kind of what I do.
Duh.
So there you go. Anyways, the Senate has confirmed Todd Blanche as the U.S. Attorney General in a 50-49, making President Trump's former personal attorney the national top law enforcement official. Blanche has been serving as the acting Attorney General since April, but his confirmation makes the appointment permanent. The closely divided vote saw every Democrat oppose the nomination, along with the Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski, I think it is, of Alaska. The confirmation battle centered on concerns about Blanche's close relationship with the president, whether the Justice Department would remain independent. During the process, Blanche pleaded or pledged to abandon parts of a controversial legal settlement involving a proposed compensation fund and the IRS audit protection, helping secure enough Republican support for the confirmation. So there you go. What do you think? I think it's going to get interesting. I definitely don't think that this will be a
lackluster
thing that will end up occurring. I mean, no doubt about that one. So there you go. Anyways, Iran has issued a sweeping list of conditions that it says it must be met before it will fully reopen the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. Among the demands is that the U.S. to end sanctions and the U.S. naval blockade, the withdrawal of American forces from around Iran, the release of frozen Iranian assets, payments of war reparations, and the end of attacks of Iran's regional allies. The new conditions complicate ongoing negotiations with Oman over shipping through the waterway, which Iran largely closed after fighting with the U.S. and Israel escalated earlier this year. Iran says that the strait will remain restricted until the United States complies, which Iran says that there are terms of the June ceasefire agreement. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. What do you think here? I think it definitely makes it an interesting one when it's all said and done. Okay, what else do we got going on? Donald Trump, let's see. Donald Trump can't build the White House ballroom without congressional approvals and appeals court rules. So take a listen to this. The federal appeals court has ruled that President Trump must obtain congressional approval before moving forward with the construction of a new ballroom at the White House. In a 2-1 decision, the court said that the work on the project must stop except for measures needed to maintain safety and security, while giving the administration 14 days to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to review the case. The majority wrote that the president is temporary occupant, not the owner of the White House, and the major structural changes to the historic property require congressional authorization. The judge said the decisions about the building a large new ballroom belongs to Congress, not the executive branch alone. The Trump administration is expected to seek Supreme Court review as the legal battle over the project continues. So what do you think? Now, it definitely becomes interesting as it's all said and done. I look at it from the standpoint that I go, wow, how does something like this end up happening? Like, how does it end up going from this particular standpoint to one of these things where you kind of go, wow, how did this end up working out when it was all said and done? Like, seriously. I just kind of look at it and go, man, what an interesting time. No doubt about that as we are talking. Okay, so take a listen to this real quick. The Senate passes a stopgap funding that will last through November's election. Take a listen to this. The Senate has overwhelmingly approved the temporary spending bill that the federal government funded through December the 11th, avoiding potential government shutdown before November's midterm election. The measure passed 90-6 with a bipartisan support and now heads to the House, where the fate remains uncertain. Stopgap bill will include several notable provisions. It blocks President Trump's administration from transferring funds to Customs and Border Protection and ICE without congressional approval. The delays of a nationwide ban of many hemp-derived products like CBD and Delta-9 until December, and temporarily prevents the administration from changing how federal grants are approved. Supporters say that the bill gives Congress more than time to negotiate long-term spending bills and avoids another disruptive shutdown. While some Republicans have already vowed for the provisions that oppose the funding negotiation to resume later this year. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, it's definitely an interesting time, no doubt there, as we are talking. I don't know. I always look at some of these provisions and how some of these things get built in and how some of the people always state about how much pork there is in some of these negotiations. And it definitely does not sound wrong as you are taking a listen to it. That is for sure. Okay, take a listen to this one. A firefighting helicopter crashed on Friday while battling a massive wide-mouth 2 wildfire in central Utah. The Swarovski S-64 helicopter was carrying 2 firefighters when it went down near Richfield and while responding to the blaze. Officials have not released the conditions of the 2 people on board. The wildfire has burned more than 100,000 acres in our Fish Lake National Forest and was about 19% contained at the time of the crash. Dangerous fire conditions initially prevented emergency crews from reaching the wreckage. Utah Governor Spencer Cox called the incident sombering and reminder of the risk of wildland firefighters face, while the U.S. Forest Services and National Transportation Safety Board continue to investigate the crash. So I guess we'll hear more about that as we move forward. I mean, you have to understand the risk that these firefighters put themselves in regards of what's going on. And so it's kind of always interesting when somebody tries to bring up old safety formats to them and said, maybe they would be safer if they care more. Can you imagine that, saying that to a firefighter? Like knowing exactly what they're doing and telling them, if you cared more, you might be safer. I will tell you, I sat inside of a nice little meeting, and there was the head of the Forest Service. It was sitting there, one of the main park rangers, and that shit was said in front of him. I think that the dude blew a gasket, and I could understand it, because how can you tell somebody that when those people are out there risking their lives in regards of what's going on, and then all of a sudden you're going to turn around and be like, yeah, if you cared more, you'd be safer.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
I'm just saying. Anyways, if you have an attic ladder, you may want to check the brand. More than 1.7 million attic stairways ladders have been recalled because of a bolt that can break, creating a serious fall hazard. The recall affects certain Louisville, Featherlight, Light, and Century attic ladders with gas struts that were sold between 2012 and 2026. A retailer, including Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon, Do It Best, prices range between about $170, to $600. The company has received about 11 reports of the bolt breaking, including one person who suffered injuries to the neck, head, and back. Owners are being told to stop using the ladders immediately and request a free repair kit, which includes replacement bolts and the installation instructions. You can find the model number of inside of the attic door to see if your ladder is part of the recall. Okay, stop the phone, because let me make sure that I understand this. So you have a ladder that goes into your attic, or helps you get into the attic. The only way that you're going to be able to figure this out is by opening it, taking a look at the ladder, and figuring out if the model's there. If you have a pretty tall attic, how are you going to see the model of it? Is it at the top of the ladder or the bottom of the ladder? That's kind of the first question. And let's talk about this repair kit. How do I unscrew this as end user and then put it back together by still being on the ground? I'm just asking the question because I think it's very, very interesting on how that would end up working. I'm just saying. So just some things to think about. What do you think here? I mean, it definitely becomes an interesting one. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where you're not going to be able to not have a conversation about it. I mean, it becomes very interessante. So there you go. Okay, so let's start talking about some other things real quick, and let's talk about
WTF. Welcome to Florida.
A Florida man love triangle turned into a real-life action movie in a Publix parking lot. Police say the 52-year-old Everett Crimbaugh and 35-year-old James Gray got into a violent fight over a woman that they had both dated. Investigators say that Gay confronted Crimbaugh, grabbed a machete from his vehicle and struck him in the face. Everett allegedly fought back with a hatchet, leaving James with a serious injury, including deep finger wound and a stab wound to the abdomen. Both men were hospitalized before being arrested on aggravated battery charges. Authorities also say the gay has a previous aggravated battery conviction stemming from a 2011 homicide case. Both suspects remain behind bars. Publix calls it a parking lot. These guys call it Medieval Mondays. Apparently, the BOGO deal has buy one weapon, get one felony is what it sounds like. And Publix shoppers came for groceries and got a front row seat to West Side Story, Florida edition is definitely what it sounds like. So there you go. Let's continue talking about some other things. An Indian woman has officially set the new Guinness World Record for the longest hair on a living woman. So let's see. Renu Dahara, a beauty content creator, has been growing her hair nonstop since 2015, and it now measures an incredible 8 feet, 10 inches long. She says the inspiration comes from the Indian culture, where long hair is considered a symbol of beauty and tradition. Maintaining it takes hours of washing and detangling, but she credits natural, chemical-free, homemade hair oils and shampoos for keeping it healthy. Let's see, what else? Renu breaks the previous record of 8 feet, 5.3 inches, although they have a record still belongs to China's Zhang Quanping, whose hair measured 18 feet long in 2004. Holy crap, 18 feet long? Could you imagine that? That's crazy. Okay, take a listen to this one real quick. A Porter Airlines from Victoria, British Columbia to Toronto has been canceled after a toddler repeatedly refused to wear a seatbelt before takeoff. As the plane was taxiing to the runway, the crew members noticed a child standing in the seat, and despite the efforts by the parents, a flight attendant, the child could not be safely restrained. The aircraft returned to the gate, and the family was removed from the flight. The delay pushed the departure past the airport's overnight runway closure, forcing the flight to be canceled. Passengers were rebooked for the following night. While the airline apologized for the disruption, it emphasized that children must probably be restrained during all phases of the flight safety. So there you go. Flight gets canceled because of a kid can't being restrained. What do you think here? How pissed off would you be? A whole day. I mean, that was the other portion. And so here becomes the other thing. So all these people had to be rescheduled, and it said mostly for the following night. How does that get worked out when it's all said and done? I'm just asking the question for the sake of asking. So there you go. There you go. Anyways, with that being said, 32 minutes past the top of the hour, I think it is time to do this thing that we normally refer to as our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So, main story time, and we get to hang out and talk a little bit about everything that is going on inside of the multiverse, because this is kind of what we do around here, no doubt about that. So, with that being said, let's kind of go into some of these things. And I will tell you, probably one of the number one things that I get to discuss with people is talking about how do we move forward with our safety systems opposed to going directly back to what we were doing before. Let's talk about that one more time. Things that we were doing before, why do we default back to them when things go wrong, when we are trying to implement changes inside of our systems? And that's the funny part. And that is the interesting part as well. I shouldn't say so much as funny. I should probably say more like interesting, because here's where it gets extremely strange. And some people have a hard time understanding this. We will revert to what we know opposed to moving forward to something new that we do not truly understand. I want you to think about this, and I want you to kind of go old format for a moment. Have you been to a skating ring? Like a roller skating ring? I mean, they might have inlines, but I'm talking about a roller skating ring. And I'll give you another example here in a moment. You are aware that if you are roller skating, they teach you techniques, normally if you go to a class, on how to fall and how to skate. But you know automatically that if you have one of those skate trainers where it has like the bars and it has the wheels on the bottom and you kind of put your arms on it, people do not stand properly when they are training using that. So people will lean on this device, and if things start going wrong, they'll default to whatever the hell they were doing before as grabbing the wall, sliding, skedaddling, however you want to look at it. Same thing happens with swimming. If you go to a swimming class, the first few times that they teach you how to do this stuff, they try to be very specific on what to do. But if you have a younger child and you put them inside of one of these life vests, you know automatically that they are going to start leaning when they're doing their swimming aspect. They're going to start leaning because that's what the life vest teaches them to do, which is not proper swimming technique. And don't get me wrong, I am not comparing some of the workplace safety stuff similar to a young child being taught on how to do an aquatic sport or even roller skating. But I'm giving the example that we default back to what we know because it makes it easier opposed to it being something entirely different. So let's talk about some of this for a moment, because this is where I would want to get a little bit more aggressive, if I may, in regards to some of the stuff that's going on. Because here's what I need you to think about. If your organization is going to a aspect where something has went catastrophically wrong and you're trying to implement something new, the default mode will be to automatically go back to what you were doing before. It's just kind of the way that it works. Now, here's where we run into some situations that I want you to think about. Organizations, most of the times, will do that because they are in a panic mode. Also, here's the other side of the equation. Sometimes people are not familiar with what needs to happen. People are not familiar with what is going on with that whole aspect of the thing. And I mean this from the standpoint of this. Laws sometimes, or regulations sometimes, do not change to what exactly you have going on. So I will tell you, when I get to interact or talk to someone, let's say from OSHA, quote unquote, I get pretty excited about it because this means they're willing to listen to some things that are changing, opposed to it just being, let me default into exactly what is going on. Does that make sense? I want you to think about this for just a brief moment, if I may kind of go down this path. You are aware that sometimes changes inside of our system will change before regulations and laws do. I'll kind of give you an example of this. And I am probably going to be screwed on saying this in regards of timeline. But let's use this as an example, and it's going to be a terrible example, so bear with me. How many years has it been that Colorado has legal marijuana? And how long has it been since other states have tried to accomplish the exact same thing? And how long has it been that marijuana has been a Schedule 1? From a federal standpoint, and now it's starting to look like there's a change in place in regards to what's happening. Seriously. I'm just asking because that is always the interesting aspect. So pulling it up real quick, Colorado legalized medical marijuana November 7th of 2000 and recreational marijuana on November the 6th of 2012 when voters passed Colorado Amendment 6.4, legal recreational retail. So there you go. So it was approved in November 2000. Voters approved the Amendment 20 to legalize medical cannabis. In December 10 of 2012, recreational amendment 64 officially took effect. But I want you to think about that. These are the different things that we would have to take a look at in regards of timeline on how long some of these things took before you started seeing them go elsewhere. Now, I'm not going to say that this is how long it's going to take for something to, regulation-wise to change inside of your workplace, but I just want you to kind of take a look at some of these things on how this actually ends up working. And believe me, marijuana is not the default aspect here, what we're talking about. But is this an example for something that you can see in real time, or you might know something that sounds familiar to you in that particular regards. Now, think about this for a moment. If you were able to change things in real time, how quick would things change from one thing to another? So understand when your workplace goes to default mode in regards to what they were doing before, because that's where it gets very weird. It gets very weird on what they're doing, and it's not a bad thing. It's they're trying to do what is best based on the knowledge that they have at that particular moment in time. So the next time that you're hesitating with some of these things and going, why in the hell is it taking so long? People default back to what exactly they know.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
This isn't a safety manual. It's a transmission. Jay Allen, PhD, host of the Rated R Safety Show and founder of Safety FM, has spent years pulling back the curtain on the systems we work in and the ones we don't talk about. What started as a fatal crash on the 405 became a search for truth through behavior-based safety, human and organizational performance, simulation theory, and everything in between. Safety, in my opinion, is raw, reflective, and real. From burnout to breakthroughs, from the matrix to the moment someone says, "This doesn't feel right." This book doesn't give you answers. It hands you the signal. Safety, in my opinion. Available now, wherever books and audiobooks are found.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So eat me alive. You keep me burning, baby, fire. You got me burning with desire. So keep it burning, baby, higher,
Okay, here we go. 45 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. This right here that you're taking a listen to, this is the Clans song Mrs. Fahrenheit. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Pandora. Yep, a lot of stuff going on inside of the multiverse of ours. We would like to thank the Clans for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Yep, always a good time when we're able to bring different kind of music to you. Different kind of music to you, that's for sure, as we are doing our thing. So let's continue talking about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at Right Love on Our Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now, and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, you can go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, there's going to be information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Right Love on Her Arms. Once you get there, I'm going to tell you, it can change everything for you. No doubt about that. As we are hanging out, I will tell you, go to that website quite often and always am kind of surprised taking a look around at everything that is going on over there because, man, it has some of the most crucial information. Anything from how to be involved to taking a look around to things that you kind of look at and go, wow, I didn't think about it in that particular fashion. But man, it has made a world of difference, at least in how I take a look at some of the things that are going on when it comes to that particular subject matter, because I've looked into it and always kind of wondered, how are you able to help out or not? And that's just kind of the best, one of the best ways to do it. So TWLOHA.com. To Right Love on Her Arms. So there you go. What do you think? So just some things to think about. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and do this real quick. Let's bring some John Small into our life and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Brandon. Ida B. Wells Barnett said, "The way to right wrongs is to turn the lights of truth upon them." I love this. If you've ever been involved in something that was just plain wrong, you'll agree with this one as well. We were tied up in a legal battle for about 4 years. The other party happened to be a pretty wealthy guy. It was a business deal that didn't end the way it should have, and we were backed into a corner with only one option. We had to sue the guy. I didn't want to, but we had to. During the time this was happening, we didn't really talk about it, and I absolutely didn't post anything about it. But somebody else posted a story, and I made the mistake of reading some comments. A guy who didn't know any details at all called it a frivolous lawsuit. Nope, not frivolous, but the good news is, we won.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Massive wildfires raged across Serbia on Friday as a devastating heat wave and severe drought pushed temperatures above 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Emergency crews battled multiple blazes across the Balkan nation, including a major fire in the Dela Blato Sands Nature Reserve northeast of Belgrade. Firefighting helicopters dropped water on the spreading flames as the Serbian army was deployed to assist. Officials evacuated residents from threatened villages as a precaution, though no homes had been lost and no deaths reported. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Houthis aligned with Iran attacked an oil refinery in southwestern Saudi Arabia with a drone strike on Sunday, threatening further instability across the troubled Middle East.
The military group targeted the Aramco facility in the city of Jizan, claiming a direct hit in response to recent Saudi air incursions over Yemeni territory. Saudi officials reported a fire at the site that was quickly extinguished, with no casualties reported. The assault comes as a fragile 2022 truce between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia continues deteriorating. Chris Anderson reporting.
Federal officials have banned the use of government grants to distribute fentanyl test strips, a reversal that has alarmed public health advocates fighting an overdose crisis.
The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration notified harm reduction organizations Friday that federal funding can no longer cover the strips that help detect dangerous drug adulterants. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Russia launched a massive overnight drone and missile assault on Ukraine, killing at least 12 civilians and injuring dozens across multiple cities on Thursday night.
Russian forces attacked with 151 strike drones, 6 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, and S-400 surface-to-air missiles targeting infrastructure in Kyiv, Dnipro, and other regions. Benjamin Wright reporting.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino faces fresh scrutiny after UEFA confirmed it made a 6-figure severance payment to a female former employee during his tenure as the organization's general secretary.
According to an investigation by The Telegraph, the woman was allegedly promoted during a relationship with Infantino before leaving with a substantial payment, and UEFA also funded her MBA education, costing £45,000 annually. Gary Beck reporting.
The Senate confirmed Todd Blanche as U.S. Attorney General in a narrow overnight vote early Saturday, advancing President Trump's longtime personal lawyer to lead federal law enforcement.
The Republican-controlled chamber voted 50-49 to confirm Blanche, who has already been serving in the role since April. 2 GOP senators joined all Democrats in opposition, citing concerns about the Justice Department's independence from the White House. Blanche becomes the second confirmed Attorney General since Trump returned to office last year. Kyle Norris reporting.
Italian divers uncovered an extraordinary Roman shipwreck buried beneath the Mediterranean off Sicily's coast, loaded with hundreds of ancient wine containers.
The 2,100-year-old vessel was discovered at 46 meters deep near Mazzara del Valle on Saturday. The wreck contained perfectly preserved amphorae, lead anchors, and other artifacts from between the 2nd and 1st centuries before Christ. Italy's culture minister called it one of the most important underwater archaeological finds in recent years. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Legendary Phillies second baseman Chase Utley was inducted into the Philadelphia Phillies Wall of Fame on Friday night, cementing his status as one of the greatest players in franchise history.
The 6-time All-Star and 4-time Silver Slugger winner played 13 seasons with Philadelphia, accumulating more than 1,000 runs batted in and earning widespread admiration for his gritty, all-out playing style. Utley received 59% of the vote this year in his Hall of Fame consideration, putting him on track for Cooperstown in coming years. Liam White reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Some of the best things in life come to those who wait, but we ain't waiting for shit. Real big.
Oh, there you go. We are not waiting for anything, is what I'm being told. So that's always a good thing, I guess, when you start taking a look at it that way. So with that being said, let's talk about what happened in the box office.
The top spot at the box office this weekend. At the box office. The box office roundup.
The weekend box office.
At the box office this weekend.
Oh, yes, at the box office this weekend is what people want to talk about, because that's just kind of how it goes. So I don't know if I need to kind of surprise you with this, but we'll go from 10 to 1. And number 10 was Cat Video Fest 2026, $570,000. And number 9 was The Invite with $718,000. And number 8 was Ice Cream Man, $2 million. And number 7, Moana with $2.8 million. And number 6 was Minions and Monsters, $3.5 million. And number 5 was Toy Story 5. Coming in at the 5th spot, which makes it even more interesting, $3.5 million. Number 4, Super Troopers with $4 million. And number 3, One Night Only, $5.7 million. And number 2 was The Odyssey with $31.5 million. And coming in at number 1 for the second weekend in a row, Spider-Man Brand New Day tops North American box office again, earning $145 million over the weekend. So it looks like that one's not going anywhere anytime soon in regards to what's going on. So there you go. Let's talk about some things that happened back in today. 1948, Alan Funt's Candid Camera TV debuts on ABC. In 1980, Jack Nicklaus wins the PGA Championship for the 5th time. 1981, Pete Rose tops Stan Musial's NL record of 3,630 hits. In 1985, Michael Jackson buys ATV Music, every Beatles songs, for $47 million. And in 2008, American swimmer Michael Phelps won his first of his record 8 gold medals in the Olympics by winning a 400-meter individual medley in 4 minutes, 3 seconds, and 84 tenths of a second, or hundredths of a second, smashing his own world record. So there you go. That all happened back on the dates that I reference. Let's see what else we got going on. Today's celebrity birthdays: Ian Anderson turned 79, Rosanna Arquette 67, Antonio Banderas turned 66 today, and Angie Harmon turns 54. So there you go. Let's talk about some things you ought to know. Here's Friday's Mega Million winning jackpot numbers: 17, 20, 32, 54, 52nd Mega Ball was 23. Here's Saturday winnings Powerball's numbers for $856 million: 5, 9, 35, 54, 63. Powerball was 7. Power Play was 3. And since there was no jackpot winners tonight, jackpot climbs to $905 million. So there you go. Also, much of the U.S. is bracing for this week's dangerous weather and extreme heat and dry conditions of severe thunderstorms, creating threats ranging from wildfires, flash flooding, temperatures that could climb as high as 114 degrees as part of the middle of the week. States including California, Colorado will continue to swelter, while the Pacific Northwest, including Washington and Oregon, faces an elevated wildfire risk due to dry conditions and gusty winds that could fuel existing fires and spark new ones. So there you go. Anyways, that's going to end our time together at the top of the hour. I will be going over to radiobig.fm for the next couple hours or so, talking about the world of music and entertainment. If you want to come over there and hang out with me, we would love to see you over there on that side of the equation. If you don't want to go over there, that's perfectly fine. You can hang out here with the likes of Sheldon Primus here on Safety FM, as he will be talking about the world of safety consulting. Yep, that's how it goes around here. If I can leave you with some words of wisdom for today, treat people as if they were they only thought ought to be, and you can help them become what they are capable of becoming. If you need some advice for today, try this. To remove old wallpaper, non-vinyl of course, mix equal parts of warm water and white vinegar. Sponge the section on the wall with the solution until wallpaper is saturated. Let it sit for about 20 minutes. Sop on the wallpaper and then peel it from the broad-bladed putty knife, and you should be good to go. So that's it. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and/or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.